Okay, done. So, hello to everyone. I welcome you all on Defense Adda 24/7. My name is Atul Deman और आज का दिन हम सभी के लिए बहुत ही स्पेशल है. स्पेशल इसीलिए है बिकॉज आज हम एक ऐसी पर्सनालिटी के साथ बात करेंगे जो खुद में एक बहुत इंस्पिरेशनल पर्सनालिटी है, मोटिवेशनल पर्सनालिटी है, बहुत स्पेशल है. वो आपको एक इंटरेक्शन इस इंटरेक्शन के बाद रियलाइज हो जाएगा. एंड सेकंड थिंग इज इन्होंने बहुत सारी बच्चों को, बहुत सारे लड़कियों को स्पेसिफिकली motivate किया है to join the defense forces, right? So she is Leela Kumari, all India rank 24 in the CApf Assistant Commandant 2022 exam, right? So welcome, ma'am. How are you?
Uh, I'm very fine. How are you, sir?
I'm very good, very good. So one point is very important that ma'am will going to talk everything in English because she's more comfortable in English. But my responsibility is to convert it into Hindi. कौन-कौन से important points हैं हम लोग उसको हिंदी में समझेंगे. And ये जितने भी audience होगी, चाहे वो English वाली है, हिंदी वाली है, bilingual वाली है, सबको जो है कुछ ना कुछ informative इस session से मिलेगा, right? So ma'am, सबसे पहली बात तो है the very important question is how you feeling nowadays, like after becoming assistant commandant, how this life changed and everything. So tell me something about that aspect.
Yeah, sir. I can definitely segregate the time before assistant commandant and the time after assistant commandant. So both are like a life-changing experience, I could say. Some people say the life changes in a minute. That is what the famous saying. Actually, it is true. So when the results came, the life has totally changed. So before that, there will be so much of struggle, dilemma, and there are so many questions. But now everything is clear. The path is set for the next 30 to 35 years. Your path is set, your journey is going to be defined, and this is going to be a very stable life with all the dream come true moment. So this is like a complete celebrity moment after the results. So this is how the life has changed.
Right. It is completely a celebrity movement, but still she's so humble. She's so nice that she decided ki let's come to the platform and motivate people about the physical, medical, and interview and other aspirants of CAPF. Right. So, ma'am, my first a question from you is that who is assistant commandant, right?
Okay, sir. So assistant commandant, they are gazetted officers.
Right.
So they have to work under the Ministry of Home Affairs with different sites like BSF, you have SSB, everything. So they are going to be the administrators as well as they are going to command a unit. So which is like their responsibility to look after the safety of their people as well as the security installations of a country. So they are going to be like a pillar for the country as well as the people who are working under them. So they are like in facilitators everywhere.
Correct, correct. So assistant commandant is a highly responsible job, and you have to be eligible for that. You have to qualify all the stages to become such to handle such a responsible job,
Yes.
right? And ma'am, how we can become assistant commandant? I know these are very very basic sawal for you, very basic question for you, but for this is very important question for all the aspirants who are going to appear for the 2023 CAPF.
Yes, sir. So definitely, sir. So to become an assistant commandant, so we should have, I'm telling from the scratch, so we should have a passion for uniform service. So that is the main thing needed for becoming an assistant commandant. And also the responsibility to work and being in a leadership quality. These are very important criteria for becoming an assistant commandant. And also to become an assistant commandant, the procedure. So it is from, I can say you have your prelims, you have your mains examination, it happens in a single day. So for that mental stability is really important. So you're going to write the prelims in the morning and you're going to write mains in the afternoon. This is going to be a very challenging part for everyone. And for CAPF, this is really a different platform where you have to be very physically strong as well as mentally strong. So first stage, your mental stability is tested, and then comes the physical test. So physical test is more like you should have the basic qualification of your physical efficiency as well as your physical endurance. as you have 100 meters and 800 meters everywhere, and the medical portion is also there. So I think like even before getting into the job, you're going to be tested in all the grounds, your physical, your mental, your health, as well as, and also for assistant commandant, the interview part is going to be a game changer. So all these processes are needed to be mended in a proper way to become an assistant commandant.
ओके ओके सो मैम ने जैसा बताया कि इट इज ऑल अबाउट द रिटन एग्जाम देन फिजिकल मेडिकल एंड देन द अल्टीमेट स्टेज ऑफ इंटरव्यू सो यू हैव टू क्लियर और क्वालिफाई ऑल दीज थ्री stages and then you have to come in the merit list, and once you are in the merit list everything will be changed, right? So okay, we are not going to talk about a lot about the written exam or the physical medical. We'll talk more in detail in the interview process, because you about the Leela ma'am, she got 110 marks. इनके 110 marks आए थे out of 150 marks from the UPSC interview, right? So it's a very very बहुत ही challenging score होता है ये लाना, and इसी के regarding हम लोग आज ज़्यादा बात करेंगे for the students who are going to appear in the next interview, right? So ma'am, my first question to you is that before you got to know that I have my interview day is this, and I have to appear for the interview. So how you started your interview process? Like what are the basics that you decided that चलो इसको पढ़ लेते हैं पहले, फिर आगे की चीजें बाद में देखेंगे. तो basics की बात करते हैं. तो what exactly the basics for interview?
Yes, sir. So I can tell you the process of my interview preparation. So I would say I was given re-medical. So I had some eye problems. I have to test here, and I have some overweight. So I was in re-medical. But the day the re-medical got cleared, even before the interview date was announced, I started preparing for the interview. So that is how my preparation has started. So once I have to get into the interview, so I thought I should know what is all the postings related to, because before going to attend an interview, you should know in and out of the service you're going to be working. So at first, my first preparation was like to know each and every forces. So I have given about the forces, their headquarters, their strengths.
Right.
So this is my first preparation.
Okay.
So first, I need to know the basics of all the forces, because even though we know all the forces, we will not know in and out of everything. So that is my
Correct.
first priority. And the second priority, I've started with their schemes and their peer forces preparations. Like many BSF or CISF, everyone have their different schemes to
Okay.
encourage the people working under them. There are so many motivating sessions and the seminars are going on. So I just came to know about that. That really helped me in the interview. That is
Okay.
my second thing. And then after doing that, I've started preparing for the current affairs. So that is how I started. So first knowing the forces, then there's
Okay.
so first priority I have given for the security
Right.
aspects of the country. Then all the current events happening in and around the country.
Okay.
So these are the first basic things I have done.
Okay.
The usual current events have also have covered. So these are things first I covered, and then once the interview date has announced, then I have started developing my communication skill. So
Okay.
that is how I started post knowing the interview dates.
Okay.
So that is a main thing I have started then, because even though we have good knowledge about the topics and everything, so that is where we always lag. So we need to express ourselves, we need to show what is in our mind. So that flow of thoughts and the communication skill is actually needed. That is how I started after post knowing the interview dates. Then after communication skill, I started to articulate the things, what to put first and what to put next. So the
Okay.
articulation is also important.
Okay. Okay.
So these are very much important. And finally, your personality. You have to showcase your personality in a very subtle, calm way. So developing the personality and the mannerism.
Okay.
So that is a final thing I would say. So creating your personality and your mannerism.
Okay.
So that actually helped me in the interview. So see, these are the process step by step I have done, sir, and also doing some interviews before the main interview, mock interviews. So
Right.
that also actually helped me a lot in shaping the personality.
Right. So मैं एक बार सारे स्टूडेंट्स को जो मैम ने बोला उसको थोड़ा सा पैटर्न के अंदर स्टैंडर्ड के अंदर मैं बता देता हूँ फॉर एग्जांपल बिफोर गोइंग फॉर द एक्चुअल इंटरव्यू शी स्टार्टेड फ्रॉम द बेसिक्स है ना तो बेसिक से शुरुआत किया एंड बेसिक्स में इन्होंने फोर्सेस के बारे में पढ़ा ऑब्वियसली सीआरपीएफ बीएसएफ आईटीबीपी ये जो 5 फोर्सेस है इनके बारे में आपको बहुत डिटेल में पढ़ना है मैम देयर इज अ क्वेश्चन that what were the resources that you followed to know more about the forces, right?
Okay.
What were the resources?
Okay, so I would tell about the resources. So
Yes,
first and foremost, I have started with their own websites,
official sites.
official
Right.
websites. So that
Okay.
is my first source. And
Okay.
there are magazines of their own forces. For CISF, they have they have separate thing, and also for BSF, everything they have separate magazines. So what they're doing in an early basis. So I have got the datas and their schemes from their magazines. So these two are the prime, like their official websites and their official magazines. And then
Press release and sometimes they
everything.
release
So they
press
have
release.
their annual planners, they have their
Yes.
magazines, everything. So that
Yes.
is my second thing. And usual next sources like our newspapers. So
Okay.
newspapers. Then I also see some websites like again I usually see this defense at our websites and also other websites related to the security personals. So these are the things I usually do. So current events I can search some UPS related websites. That is very random thing. But the prime focus was the official websites and the current newspapers. So that is a resources mostly used.
ओके सो फॉर गेटिंग टू नो मोर अबाउट कि फोर्सेस के बारे में ज्यादा जानना है ऑफिशियल साइट सबसे पहली चीज है उसको बहुत डिटेल में करिए सेकंड थिंग इज जो मैगजीन्स आती हैं वो ऑफिशियल साइट्स पे मिल जाती हैं
ठीक
एंड
है.
थर्ड वन इज द करंट एस्पेक्ट ऑफ दीज फोर्सेस मतलब करंट अफेयर से रिलेटेड फोर्सेस का नाम आ रहा है तो उसको बहुत अच्छे से पढ़ लीजिए राइट एंड ये सोर्सेस बहुत ही सफिशिएंट है इफ यू रीड देम वेरी वेल तो आप फोर्सेस के बारे में बहुत अच्छे से जानते हैं नाउ एक चीज मैं भी ऐड ऑन करना चाहता हूँ इस पूरी कॉन्वर्सेशन के अंदर फोर्सेस के अंदर जो मैम ने बताया कि मैगजीन्स वो पढ़ती थी और साथ ही साथ प्रेस रिलीज भी पढ़ती थी जो जो टाइम टू टाइम उनकी एनुअल रिपोर्ट्स आती थी वो भी वो पढ़ती थी ना वो उसका इंपॉर्टेंस क्या है देखो जो एग्जाम जो वहां पे पैनलिस्ट होते हैं ना वो आपको सिचुएशन रिएक्शन टेस्ट देते हैं राइट मैम सो
Yes.
दे गिव यू अ सिचुएशन राइट कि फॉर एग्जाम्पल किस तरीके से आप ह्यूमैनिटेरियन काम करोगे किसी ट्राइबल एरिया में आप सर्व कर रहे हो किसी नक्सलाइट एरिया में काम कर रहे हो तो कौन कौन से आप कॉन्फिडेंस बिल्डिंग मेजर्स जो है वो इस्तेमाल करने वाले हो तो वहां पे आप जो आंसर देंगे वो आंसर आपका कहाँ से निकलेगा जो इन फोर्सेस की जो मैगजीन्स होती हैं या फिर एनुअल रिपोर्ट्स होती हैं वहां पे दे गिव वेरी डिटेल्ड थिंग्स कि व्हाट स्टेप्स दे हैव टेकन फॉर कॉन्फिडेंस बिल्डिंग कैटेगरी के अंदर
Yes, sir.
तो वहां पे यू आर एबल टू टॉक you are able to express yourself if you have this much of knowledge right
Yes, so that is actually true because when they ask you the situation reaction test, you can give your own opinion, that is fine. But to justify your stand, you should showcase some example that has already happened.
yes yes
I could even point out a question like I was asked a question whether the outsiders must be needed in a place. Doesn't that insider itself become an BSF? Like if a person belongs to the state, that person can become a BSF. So I said no, outsider is the good thing. But that was my situation reaction. How you say the outsiders?
right
Because that time when I went to the interview, the Northeast issue was going on as well as Kashmir issue was also going on. So what I have justified like the BSF had Bharat Darshan programs. They're doing it and they are taking all the children to all the places. As well as I have said, the BSF persons are celebrating Diwali with the peoples of Kashmir. So they consider themselves as people. But the problems, insurgencies happen in a very rare form. So when I say the examples, they were convinced. So that I got from their own magazine, I got from their press release. This directly or indirectly helped me in justifying my situation reaction test.
perfectly fine perfect so this is how you can prepare very good for your situation reaction test right so this is a very good source I myself followed this source and I felt it so good कि हाँ the other person, like the panelist, interviewers cannot contradict your point because it's already taken from the official side, right?
Yes.
Yes. So, okay. Now the second thing is schemes. So you have to read about the schemes. Last 6 months का scheme पढ़ लीजिए. कुछ भी ऊपर ऊपर से superficial level पे, because it's not civil services interview. It's more of a defense interview.
Yes.
So schemes can go for the superficial or in little bit detail. Not a lot of detail should be there. Current affairs, yes, current affairs में you can talk a lot about the security issue, security part. Ma'am, I have a question for you. Have you read that specific book of security affairs of India that IPS sir Ashok Kumar, he has written that book? Have you read
Yes.
that book?
So, yes, sir. I have read for knowing the basic about all the definitions, like what is terrorism, what is
Okay.
internal security. So I should
Right.
be clear about the boundaries of what is
Okay.
terrorism. So for the basic definitions, I have gone through that. And sir, regarding the schemes, I have also need to tell that the schemes I have read is like regarding the current events, as
Okay.
well as the schemes introduced by the forces themselves.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
That is
Very
what
important.
the much needed thing. I remember there are schemes like a Bandhu scheme in CISF where
Yes.
they have this buddy scheme.
Yes.
Some motivated personnel will help the peer personnel. So these schemes actually help me in telling for examples. So that schemes should also be noted.
Okay, right, right, right. The schemes that are related more related to specific forces or forces, right? So you have
Yes.
to read those schemes, right? So current affairs पे we'll talk about अभी हमने आपने अगर वो किताब पढ़नी है that is security से related अशोक कुमार आईपीएस है, वो किताब है, वो आप पढ़ सकते हैं. मैम ने पढ़ी थी, मैंने भी एक टाइम पे पढ़ी थी. तो इट इज लाइक यू कैन रीड देम और रीड दैट बुक और बेसिक्स अपने क्लियर कर सकते हैं, राइट? इसके अलावा आर्टिकुलेशन ऑफ आइडियाज का मतलब ये है कि आप कोई भी सी इट्स ऑल अबाउट दैट यू आर गोइंग टू बिकम एन ऑफिसर, राइट? ऑफिसर बनेंगे एंड 130 जवान्स को और इंस्पेक्टर, सब इंस्पेक्टर, ये सभी रैंक जो है आपके अंडर, आपके ऑर्डर के हिसाब से काम करेंगे. सो आपके दिमाग में ना वो चीजें होनी चाहिए, कुछ ऐसा प्रॉब्लम को फाइंड आउट करके उसको सोल्यूशन निकालना. दैट शुड बी योर फर्स्ट प्रायोरिटी एज एन ऑफिसर, बिकॉज यू हैव टू लीड बाय एग्जांपल. तो वहां पे यू हैव टू ब्रिंग सम आइडियाज कि हाँ किस तरीके से कोई प्रॉब्लम आ रही है उसको फटाफट सॉल्व कर दिया जाए. सो वो चीज भी आपके अंदर वो होनी चाहिए, एंड दैट is possible only through practice, right? So this is another aspect. फिर communication skills की बात कर ले तो and calmness की बात कर ले. So communication skills and calmness जो है ये दोनों important aspect है. मैम, I would ask you one thing, that how you improve your communication skills.
Okay. Sir, communication skill I started by doing
Okay.
practice. So that how the communication skill comes. So initially we will be, some people will be good in English and some people will be good in Hindi. But even then the interview is more like either you go with complete English or sometimes the bilingual will be permitted in the interview. So
Okay.
here you have to start talking first. So communication skill, the first step is like you have to come out of your
Comfort zone.
shyness and reservedness. That is the main thing. So even though people are very good in their thinking process, so telling out is really a very difficult part. So for that we have to start speaking, whether good or bad. We have to
Okay.
first start speaking. So that is my first step towards communication skill. And some brushing up our basic grammars, just like how to use the words, common grammar. So that itself is actually needed. So first
Okay.
one is speaking, the next one is clearing about grammar parts.
Okay. Right.
And then while communicating, before communicating, we can write it and then we can talk.
Okay.
So once you have to talk about a problem or talk about an issue, once you write everything and you know what you have written, you can easily talk. So written part is actually important for communication skill, not only speaking, but you have to write what you're going to talk.
Okay.
So
Write your thoughts. Write your
yeah,
thoughts or
first,
ideas.
yes,
Right.
first you
Okay.
have to write what is in your mind, then you start.
Okay.
So are you deviating from what you have written or not? So this actually helps, and also group activity definitely helps in communication.
Okay. Okay.
Group activity. And then finally, I could say this is not a least thing, but it's the most prior thing, doing mock interviews. So
Okay.
that is really very much helpful in developing a communication skill.
Okay. Right. So that's it.
So these are the process I have gone through, sir. If you have put inputs, you can add it to. These are my experience of developing my communication skill.
राइट सो मैम जो है वो साउथ इंडिया से बिलोंग करती हैं साउथ इंडियन जो है दे आर वेरी गुड इन इंग्लिश राइट उसमें कोई सेकंड थॉट नहीं है बट इफ वी टॉक अबाउट दी नॉर्थ इंडियंस जैसे राजस्थान के बच्चे होते हैं या और जगहों के बच्चे होते हैं दे आर नॉट वेरी गुड इन इंग्लिश राइट तो ऐसा नहीं है कि जो इंग्लिश बहुत अच्छा बोलता है उसको अच्छे मार्क्स मिलते हैं जो नहीं बोल पाता उतना अच्छा उसको नहीं मिलते हैं दे आर एक्चुअली चेकिंग वेदर हाउ यू रिस्पॉन्ड आप किस तरीके से रिस्पॉन्ड कर रहे हैं स्ट्रेस वाली सिचुएशन में मैम देर एक स्टूडेंट था 2020 का ही स्टूडेंट था गोवर्धन जाट he was from the Rajasthan. So he was all prepared during the mock interview sessions also. He was all prepared that I'll going to speak whatever I'll speak in Hindi only. So he practiced himself ki चलो मैं हिंदी में ही बात करूंगा क्योंकि आई एम मोर कंफर्टेबल इन हिंदी व्हाट हैपेंड इज कि यूपीएससी के पैनल के सामने उसको बोलने ही नहीं दिया हिंदी के अंदर पैनलिस्ट अगेन एंड अगेन यू नो प्रेशराइज्ड हिम टू स्पीक इन इंग्लिश तो वो दोबारा से उसने आफ्टर द इंटरव्यू ही सेड कि सर मैं तो प्रैक्टिस करके हिंदी में गया था एंड एकदम से अंग्रेजी में बात करने का मुझे जबरदस्ती किया गया तो उसने कहा कि सर मुझे अब इंग्लिश पढ़नी है आई टोल्ड हिम कि देखो बीइंग एन ऑफिसर आपको बेसिक इंग्लिश आनी चाहिए राइट बीइंग एन ऑफिसर आपको बेसिक इंग्लिश आनी चाहिए आपकी बेसिक कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स अच्छी होनी चाहिए राइट बिकॉज तभी आपका जवान आपकी बात भी सुनेगा और थर्ड थिंग इज कि यूपीएससी में वो जो लोग आपके साथ कर रहे थे कि आपको आपके कंफर्ट जोन से निकाल रहे थे जब आपको कंफर्ट जोन से निकाला जाएगा आपकी लैंग्वेज एक तरीका है जिस तरीके से आपको जो है कंफर्ट जोन से निकाला जाएगा तो ऑब्वियसली आपकी रियल पर्सनालिटी वो एसेस कर पाएंगे सो वो सिर्फ आपको स्ट्रेसफुल सिचुएशन में डाल रहे थे कि आप किस तरीके से रिस्पॉन्ड करेंगे और वहां से वो एसेस करके आपका रियल असेसमेंट लगा के आपको मार्क्स देंगे तो ये भी एक दिमाग में आपने रखनी है चीज कि इस तरीके से जो स्ट्रेसफुल सिचुएशंस होती है वो हमारे लिए बहुत अच्छी हो सकती है इंटरव्यू के दौरान क्योंकि इससे पता चलता है कि सामने वाले जो इंटरव्यूअर हैं दे आर चेकिंग अस नहीं तो ऐसा भी होता है कई बार 10-15 मिनट का इंटरव्यू लिया और भेज दिया वापस राइट कोई स्ट्रेसफुल सिचुएशन नहीं कोई कंफर्ट जोन से बाहर नहीं निकालना तो वो भी एक बहुत डाइसी सिचुएशन होता है कि उनको सच में हमारी पर्सनालिटी अच्छी लगी कि नहीं तो मैम ने जो बोला स्पीकिंग यस यू हैव टू स्पीक अ लॉट नाउ मैम कैन आई इंक्लूड वन पॉइंट दैट इज फॉर स्पीकिंग एस्पेक्ट वी कैन डू मिरर प्रैक्टिस वी कैन
that is really helpful, sir. Yeah.
So mirror practice we can do, right? And basic grammar आपकी अच्छी होनी चाहिए ऐसा ना हो because after becoming assistant commandant you have to report things, right? Then you have to write your thoughts and then speak and group activity is very good. Ma'am आपने did you do this practice for example आपने 2-3 बंदे अपने साथ में जोड़ लिए थे 2-3 लोग जोड़े थे and you used to do you know daily discussions for half or 45 minutes is it you did this practice and is it fruitful for you?
Yes, I would genuinely say that I have prepared for the interview for 2 months actually, and we had a group of 4 girls. So we met during our remedical. So that time we started preparing for discussions. So every day, even I'm a working woman. So even though if I don't have time, I'll definitely allocate 1 hour, 2.5 hours for just talking and discussing the ideas. Sometimes we write it, sometimes we don't write it, we just come across it. So that time we'll just talk only in English. So that is what we did because we are from different states. I'm from Tamil Nadu, other one from Kerala, other one from Madhya Pradesh, another one from Haryana. So it's like we are from 4 different states. So what we did is the common language is English. So we communicated in English. So that actually helped me in developing my communication skills. So that's why I always say group activity really help you in developing your communication skill. And even though some persons put forth you some challengeful questions, you try to solve it because they are just friends. They're not going to judge you. So here, that is how the group activity helped me in my interview process. This is really fruitful for me.
Yes, I
genuine answer.
Yes, I obviously I support this idea, and you should all do this activity with your पीपल जो आपके साथ इंटरव्यू देने वाले हैं, राइट? एंड इसके अलावा आप अपनी फैमिली मेंबर के साथ भी इंग्लिश में बात कर लीजिए, क्योंकि फैमिली मेंबर के सामने थोड़ा सा और ज्यादा परेशानी होती है
हाँ,
कि
inhibitions will not be there, inhibition नहीं होते, so
हाँ
इसलिए होने चाहिए.
ठीक है, ठीक है. Right. And the last thing is that mock interviews. So mock interviews are very fruitful according to ma'am. And see, mock interviews आपका UPSC standard match नहीं करते हैं, right? और वो कभी करेंगे भी नहीं, चाहे कितना भी बढ़िया पैनल हो आपका, but UPSC standard is always higher than these mock interviews. But for practice, प्रॉब्लम क्या है? प्रैक्टिस के लिए हम लोग मॉक इंटरव्यू सेशन लगा सकते हैं. एंड यहीं पे मैं आपको एक अनाउंसमेंट बता देता हूँ दैट मॉक इंटरव्यू सेशंस की गाइडेंस जो है, जो बेसिक गाइडेंस होती है, आपको हमारे यहाँ पर भी मिल जाएगी. आप जो है जरूर हमें रीच आउट कीजिएगा, और हम लोग जो है एक प्रॉपर इंटरव्यू गाइडेंस प्रोग्राम जो है आपके लिए लेकर आ चुके हैं. तो आप हमारे इस गाइडेंस प्रोग्राम के साथ जुड़ भी सकते हैं. मैं आपको मेल आईडी बता देता हूँ. मेल आईडी में आप अपना थोड़ा एक नाम और नंबर बता सकते हैं, और फिर हम लोग हम रीच आउट करेंगे आपको. सो दैट इज मेल आईडी इज सचिन गुप्ता. सचिन, जस्ट अ सेकेंड. हाँ जी, ओके. सो मेल आईडी इज सचिन गुप्ता @ Adda 247.com. Right? It is basically, this initiative is free of cost. The basic thing जो interview का होना चाहिए, that is we'll tell you, we'll help you out, because this is the last stage and why to take risk, है ना? जहां जहां से अच्छा ज्ञान मिलता है वहां वहां से आप सीखे, और कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं होगी, राइट? सो दिस इज द मेल आईडी, राइट? So ma'am, mock interviews, how many mock interviews that you have given, and any suggestion for the mock students who are going to appear for the mock interviews? Any suggestion?
Sir, so far before interview, I have attended 3 mock interviews.
Right.
So I think 2 interviews I have done with the same person. I think it is you who conducted me the mock interview.
Right.
Another one is in Tamil Nadu. Here I have given a in-person mock interview. So because basic thing is in southern part, the mock interviews or the preparation for CApf is very less. So I didn't get the much opportunity to in Tamil Nadu, but anyway I got the like North Indian states. So there I got the mock interviews. So here I have attended totally 3 mock interviews that really helped me in knowing what and which part I'm actually lagging. So that
Right.
is really very much helpful in my mock interviews. So first one is the personality development and talking about the opinions. So how you have to showcase your opinion. Sometimes we may go to some extreme things, but you should not be like, you have to be very moderate about your opinions, as well as you should have a good example of telling about your opinions. So these are all the things I have learned through mock interviews, and how you have to enter your sitting postures and your eye contacts. So everything I have got to know only after the mock interviews. That actually really helped me for my main interview also.
Okay. So, ma'am, how many mock interviews that a student should go for? Like sometimes people, what they does is कि 10-12 mock interviews लगा लेते हैं,
हाँ जी.
5-10 लगा लेते हैं. So, how, what tips that you would try to give to the aspirants, like
Sure.
कि कितना लगाना चाहिए? How many mock interviews?
It doesn't count with the number of interviews actually.
Yes.
Only the valid inputs that you're taking from the interview is really important. The problem is like when you take so much of mock interviews, your idea will get confused again and again, because one thing they'll say differently, another people will have different, because interview is always subjective. It is the opposite person's view that is going to be perceived. So here that is, it is not the number of interview that is actually counting, but you're getting the valuable inputs and the genuine inputs. So that is very much important. I would safely say at least 3 mock interviews to 4 will be very much helpful if they improve in every mock interviews. So that is what much needed. So it is all your self work, getting inputs from them, and you should see whether it is genuine or not. So that is very much important, because I have seen many of my friends having mock interviews. They got comments like negative comments. Many said like people are saying like you cannot even enter into the interview platform. So that was very discouraging. See, they have come so far. they have completed their physical and their prelims and mains, but during the process of interviews they discourage you. That is going to be a very much drawback for them. So
Yeah.
that genuine inputs is actually needed.
Right. So that is very important suggestion to all of you. जितने भी number of interviews है, don't go for the numbers. You have to see the improvement in each mock interview.
Yes.
And इसमें one thing I would highly like to add is after every mock interview you have to have at least 1 week or 10 days का gap, right?
Yes.
10 दिन का या 7 दिन का गैप रखिए, क्योंकि जो इनपुट आपको मिलेगा उसको आप प्रैक्टिस के द्वारा ही अपनी पर्सनालिटी के अंदर इनकलकेट कर पाएंगे, राइट? तो इसके अंदर जो है 3 से 4 या 5 मॉक इंटरव्यूज दे रहे हैं, तो उसमें 2 मॉक इंटरव्यूज ऑफलाइन दे दीजिए, 3 ऑनलाइन दे दीजिए. इट कैन गो लाइक दिस वे आल्सो, राइट? एंड जो इनपुट आपको मिलता है उसको डोंट टेक इट एज इट इज, है ना? अपना जो रैशनल होता है, अपना जो दिमाग होता है, उसको भी इस्तेमाल कीजिए कि ये सही चीज बोल रहे हैं कि नहीं बोल रहे हैं,
Yes.
राइट? इसमें हाउ कैन आई माई सेल्फ इम्प्रूव in that aspect if they are saying something, right? Sometimes what happens is mock interviews के अंदर they give you वो आपको बहुत ज्यादा discourage कर देते हैं, very difficult questions they ask sometimes, and फिर आप सोचते हैं कि सिर्फ it is only the whole personality test is all about the knowledge, but it is not all about the knowledge. Your whole personality is assessed in the UPSC, right? But
Yes.
सिर्फ ये नॉलेज एस्पेक्ट के बेसिस पे आपको मॉक इंटरव्यूज का पूरा ज्ञान दिया जाता है, तो वो वहां पर भी आपने अपना जो है लॉजिक लगाना है, राइट?
Yes, I would also like to add
Yes.
some point
Yes,
about
ma'am.
the take home of mock interviews. So, what does a candidate should take home about the mock interviews? So, I should say that it is not, as you said, it is not the knowledge that you're going to do it, but the inputs. Your take home is like, are you handling that stressful situation?
Yes.
And are you keeping your calmness and subtleness throughout the interview? Are you panicking or not? So that is actually needed. And are you taking extreme measures when they say you a challenging questions? So not extreme. You should not take any extreme measures. You should not be very stressful. You should maintain calm throughout the interview, and you should be very much in handling the situations. So these are all the take home for every candidate. So even if they ask you a challenging question, you can find out the answers after the mock interviews. But here they have to follow the mentions and the stressful situations in the interview process. So that is the take home for mock interviews.
Right. Ma'am, there is a question from the student. He is saying that how we can express our thought in English, right? So
Yes.
we already have covered this point from the speaking section.
Yes,
but ma'am, you can answer this question once
Yes.
again. How
Sure.
we can answer our question, answer the whole thought
Use in English. Yes.
good English.
Yes, sir. Sir, for talking in English, we should not need some jargons like very sophisticated words are not needed. So very basic English with a good pause, with a good way of telling things is actually needed. So that is
Right.
what I actually encourage students or all the candidates to do. Like they have to express in a very simple English. The interviewer will not expect you, the UPC board will not expect you to use the very sophisticated words and show that you're very much knowledge in English. It is not needed. They want people who will express their view, which is very much understandable to other people. That is
Yes,
what they
yes.
are needed. So for
Yes.
that, I would definitely say by reading the newspapers regularly, that is English newspaper regularly, that too reading it out loud for interview process, I would definitely say you should read the newspaper out loud so that you will listen to your own voice. How are you telling things? That is actually needed. And with a basic grammar, that is definitely helpful for talking in a very good English and expressing our thoughts. So this is how you have to do, sir. So this is for the interview people.
Okay, okay. Ma'am, there is a question from the written qualified candidate. He qualified his written exam.
Yes, sir.
He appeared for the interview also earlier, but was not able to make it. This time again, he is supposed to appear for the
That
interview.
is very
He
appreciated.
asked, yes, he asked a question ki, you got 110 marks, right? So what do you think that what was the positive aspect in your personality that actually impacted them to give you 110 marks?
Yes, sir. So I could definitely say what are my plus points during my interview. So as I said, I maintain my calmness throughout my interview, even though some questions are very much stressful, and some of the questions were even asked for me for 5 minutes. They were actually, I could say, they were actually grilling me with the same question. So I maintained my calmness throughout the time, and I used to justify with proper examples. So that is what I have did. So I made them convince. So I had so many ideas, so many current events that could support my point of view. So I would even tell by an example. There was a question asked about whether the suicide should be criminalized. That was the question asked. So I was against criminalization. I said it should be decriminalized. But the interviewers keep on asking me about the criminal aspects. We should criminalize suicide. But once I justified with an example, like for Jain people, there is a salekana that is again a suicide. But if you criminalize, this is going to discriminate the religious minority. So for that stance, I stand with the point that suicide shouldn't be decriminalized. So when I say an example and justify with the real life events, so they were convinced. So that is really important. And the next thing is like your way of expressing. Whatever you're having an opinion, even if you're stressed, you should talk what is in your mind. You should not carried away by their deviations. Sometimes they ask you a question and they know it is the wrong thing, but the interviewer will stand with the wrong thing. Just because the interviewer is saying the thing, you should not be agree to their point. If it is good for the society, you can even politely disagree with their point. So that is also another point. So you have to be good in your stand if you think that is needed for the community.
Have a firm stand.
Yes, a firm stand. If it is, if you're very sure about that, you can have your firm stand. That is, so that is there, sir. So for me, the question for the firm stand is like a beauty pageant. My interview was saying like beauty pageant is objectification. Objectification of women. You should abolish the beauty pageant. But my firm stand is like beauty pageant is needed because even though it is geopolitical, the beauty pageant will help the society at large. It will encourage the women to achieve in their own field. They have done so many things for the world. So they will travel all around the world. They'll represent the women community. It is a form of women empowerment. So I said, yes, we should have beauty pageants. So even though it is against the point of interviewer, but I stood with what I felt it is good. And it was convincing also. So that's how I have gave my answers.
Okay, so so these are very good points. Like you have to be calm because under stressful situation, sometimes we lose our calmness and we say whatever reaction that we would like to give. A reaction can go extreme also, right? So this is not a good sign of a good personality, a good leader, right? Second thing is justify with the example, and that is the best way. आप जो मुश्किल सवाल होते हैं उनसे बच सकते हैं, ठीक है, when you have examples. And third thing is that is very important point that you have to have a stand. रीढ़ की हड्डी तो होनी चाहिए ना एक लीडर के अंदर, तो वो हड्डी जो है रीढ़ की हड्डी बहुत स्ट्रांग होनी चाहिए. इट शुडंट बी कि हाँ सामने वाला कुछ भी बोल रहा है एंड यू आर ओके सर, ठीक है, आई एक्सेप्ट योर पॉइंट, राइट? So that is very yes.
And also I have to add another point, like you should not say take a regional stance. So that is what best thing, because I'm from South India. You can understand I'm from Tamil Nadu also. So most of the questions were related to me like North India versus South India.
Yes.
You're from South India. Are you going to work in North India? So these are the questions mostly asked to me. So but here again, you should not take a regional stand. Even though they asked me like it is a North India, South India, I said it is a northern part of India and this is a southern part of India. I cannot segregate it as a southern India or northern India. It is not two different countries. We are united by the same name, India. So here every candidate must be very much conscious about their emotional background because they have their regional affiliations, but they should not take the regional stand also. You should say that we are united in the name of India. We are going to work under the government of India. So that is very much needed for an aspirant.
What a perfect answer it is, and you are getting this first hand knowledge from the मैम ओनली, एंड वी आर सो फॉर्चुनेट दैट इतना अच्छा अच्छा सुनने को मिलता है और इसी से मार्क्स भी आते हैं. 110 मार्क्स इज नॉट अ सिंपल थिंग टू गेट, राइट? एंड ऑब्वियसली दे विल आस्क यू अ वेरी एक्सट्रीम क्वेश्चंस आल्सो, है ना, फंसाने की कोशिश करेंगे.
Yes, sir.
लेकिन दिस इज योर पॉइंट कि दिस इज ऑल योर ब्रेन कि कहाँ पे जाना है. यू हैव टू टेक द स्टैंड, एंड स्टैंड शुड बी मॉडरेट, शुडंट बी एक्सट्रीम, राइट? ऐसा नॉर्थ एंड साउथ वाला नहीं करना है, राइट? मैम, आई विल बी आस्किंग क्विक क्वेश्चंस फ्रॉम यू एंड यू हैव टू बी क्विक आंसर. इसमें हम लोग लेंगे.
Yeah, sure.
नंबर वन क्वेश्चन इज, बिकॉज ये छोटे छोटे सवाल हैं, डाउट होते हैं स्टूडेंट्स को. हाउ टू विश गुड मॉर्निंग स्पेसिफिकली और कलेक्टिवली?
Okay, specific is actually needed if it is a woman interviewer is sitting. First, you should wish a woman interviewer, and only then you have to wish everyone in a collective way. So, if it is not, you can say good morning to everyone, good afternoon to everyone. That is fine. But if it is a specific woman interviewer is there, you should first wish your woman interviewer, and then when you have to wish other people.
Okay, right. Any state specific, how much knowledge that we have to gain as far as our state is concerned? Kitna padna hai? State
Yes, sir.
specific.
Regarding states, you should know about your economy, your geography, as well as some of the tourist places in your state, the specific importance of your state in national movements, and
Okay.
any security threat in your state which affects the national security. So these are the basic aspects you have to know about the state. Also, some dance forms of the state, art forms of the states. So these questions are asked in states. So I think your elaborate knowledge on your state is really important.
Okay, okay, right. Any negative point that we should avoid? Any negative point? I think हमने पूरी conversation में negative positive दोनों बात कर ली है, but then also if you have anything.
So negative points like you should not express your own personal feelings in the interview. That is actually negative, should be avoided. And also you should not use the regionalism. That is again a negative point.
Yes.
And again, you should obey the commands of the higher official. That is there. In any point of time, you should not say that I will disobey my senior. If my senior gives a command, you should accept it. So
Yes.
that's what you're working for. So you should not disobey, and you should not disobey the honor of the country. So these are
Yes.
the negatives that you really need to avoid during the interview process.
Yes, I would like to add one point. Disobey, never disobey the command that is coming from your superior, senior, right? But यहाँ पे एक चीज आपने याद रखनी है, मैम, आप भी इसमें add on कर सकते हैं कि if somebody is saying, आपको situation ऐसी मिलती है कि आपका जो डिप्टी कमांडेंट है या 2IC है, वो आपको कह रहे हैं कि आप ऑपरेशन में जाइए और ऑपरेशन के अंदर आपको इतना शूट करना है, या वो आपको शूटिंग के ऑर्डर दे रहे हैं, एंड सामने आपको दिख रहा है कि वो it is not full proof that other person is 100% वो culprit है कि नहीं, right? तो आप शूट करेंगे कि नहीं, क्योंकि आपको तो ऑर्डर आ गया आपके सीनियर से कि शूट कर दीजिए इनको, लेकिन आप क्लियर नहीं है कि वो 100% वो गुनेगार है कि नहीं है. तो उस टाइम पे इट इज नॉट मैंडेटरी कि आप उनकी बात सुनिए, अपने सीनियर की बात सुनिए, राइट? इज इट लाइक दिस वे?
Yes, sir. And also not to obey when it is related to corruption.
Yes,
Or
yes, yes.
if it is any related to chronic thing, you should not obey. So that is there. If it is against the national security, you should not obey it. Otherwise, you can obey with the orders. So that is
Yes,
also.
yes. Okay. Ma'am, my next question to you is, 2-3 questions are left. How to make DAF attractive? Because अभी इनका जो है DAF भरना बाकी है,
हाँ
तो
जी.
DAF को किस तरीके से attractive करना है?
Okay, honesty is the very much thing for DAF. That is what I always say. And if you have a hobby, please develop that hobby. Achievements. I think I am from a non-athlete person. I have no NCC background. I have no NSS background. Even though my DAF was good because I made it very genuine. If you have any leadership quality, you can add it. And also, even a smaller thing, helping a community itself is a leadership quality. Don't think that you have to be in a very great organization to help. So even a small thing is very much helpful. And for hobby, you should be very genuine about your hobby. So hobby and your achievement parts will be the greater criteria of discussion during the interview. During my interview, my greatest time went with my hobby. So they have asked me about the hobby, and the questions related to the hobby was there. So hobby and achievement, even if it is a small achievement, you can mention it. That will be helpful.
Right. And one thing, इज कि आपका जो डैफ है उसमें जो रिक्वायरमेंट है असिस्टेंट कमांडेंट की इज टू बिकम अ लीडर। तो
Yeah.
कुछ ना कुछ अपनी हॉबीज में इस तरीके से उसको लिख सकते हैं कि जिससे शो हो सके कि एक तो पहली बात है वो एग्जामिनर आपसे पूछे, मतलब एसेसर आपसे पूछे कि ये इसका मतलब क्या हुआ। जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल मैं आपको एग्जाम्पल देता हूँ, यहाँ पे एक स्टूडेंट ने लिखा था कैलिस्थेनिक्स, राइट, कैलिस्थेनिक। तो आपने रादर देन राइटिंग इट डाउन कि हाँ मैं डेली वर्कआउट करता हूँ, उसको थोड़ा सा अट्रैक्टिव करके लिख दिया कैलिस्थेनिक। तो द इंटरव्यूअर विल डेफिनेटली गोइंग टू आस्क व्हाट एग्जैक्टली दिस कैलिस्थेनिक्स,
Yes, sir.
right, and how you do this and how this calisthenic will help you in the forces.
Of course.
उनकी first जो that preference was CISF. तो she said कि calisthenic जो है वो it is a very basic part of ninja commandos, जो CSF के जो कमांडोज होते हैं। तो कैसे उन्होंने अपना जो हॉबी है उसको किस तरीके से यूटिलाइज किया अपनी फोर्सेस के अंदर, फर्स्ट प्रायोरिटी के अंदर, राइट। तो ये आपने सीखना है, इस
Yes, sir.
तरीके से आप कर सकते हैं।
Yes, sir.
right?
True, sir. Even though I have mentioned 3 or 4 hobbies, they have picked the one which is very peculiar, and they
Yes.
have asked the questions regarding that. So, if you have a peculiar hobby with a different good name, that will be very much attractive, also.
Right. And one thing I would like to add is कि जो भी आपकी preferences हैं, for example मैम की CISF थी या
अच्छा।
उनकी भी CISF थी, तो उन्होंने calisthenic लिख दिया और वो relate किया अपनी first preference के साथ। एक student थे जिन्होंने ITBP अपना first preference रखा था, तो उन्होंने अपनी hobbies के अंदर mountaineering लिखा है,
हाँ जी।
राइट, कि माउंटेनियरिंग मैंने किया है, मैंने कैंप्स लगाए हैं, एनसीसी में भी थे वो, तो वहां से भी वो माउंटेनियरिंग का एक्सपीरियंस ले रहे थे। तो उन्होंने अपनी हॉबीज के अंदर वैसा एस्पेक्ट लिखा जिससे उनका फर्स्ट प्रेफरेंस जो है आईटीबीपी उसके साथ रिलेट होके उनकी जो जस्टिफिकेशन है वो बहुत बढ़िया हो पाए।
हाँ जी, that's true, that's true.
Yes, ma'am. My last question from my side is that is it really impact the interview or the marks if you are choosing the CSF as a first preference?
So, do you ask? So, I couldn't get the question. Like, you're
The
asking
question
whether the
is
mark
ki,
is needed.
yes, for example, student think that if we go for the CISF or SSB, we possibly get less marks in the interview because the assessors or the interviewers, they'll think that he is like a very cozy person, loves work-life balance and this and that. So that would go against your whole interview process. So what is your take?
Sir, definitely the preference is not making much impact into the interview process because they are seeing you as a personality. They are
Right.
not seeing you as a preference. Even though they'll ask you questions related to the CISF, why you're choosing CISF, are you wanting for a stable life? Don't you want to work for the country? Don't you like to take up a stress? Yes, it is there. But even then, if you justify with your stand, then it is going to be a good thing because I have given my first preference as CISF, and
Yes.
my opinion was like I am a married woman, so I wanted a stability for my life, and I need a work-life balance. So I chose CISF.
So
It's
was this your first justification for
yes,
CS?
definitely that is
That's
what
a very
that is my
straightforward answer, and it I completely admire ma'am because it's a very straightforward answer, and obviously because of this only you got this much of marks, right?
like even that's what you when you're very honest about your opinions, when you're very honest about your answers, somewhere you should bury some of your personal feelings and you have to go for the nation. That time when you're very honest in your answers, I don't think the preference of your security or preference of your forces will give an impact in the interview process. Some may get fascinated when some South Indian people give ITBP as their first preference. Interviewer will be astonished. Oh, why are you going for ITBP? Because you're in the southern part, you want to go to the northernmost, and that kind of questions are asked. But commonly, it is like when you're very honest about your answers, there's going to be no much change in that.
राइट। सो दो चीजें हैं, एरस आप चाहे जो भी फोर्सेस लीजिए, सीएसएफ बीएसएफ व्हाटएवर द फोर्सेस आपकी फर्स्ट प्रेफरेंस हो, उसको जस्टिफाई करना इज द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग, राइट। इफ यू आर जस्टिफाइंग योर प्रेफरेंसेस, नो प्रॉब्लम, आपको कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं आएगी। जैसे लीला मैम ने सीधा स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड बोल दिया, दिस इज व्हाट इट इज, एंड दैट वाज एक्सेप्टेड टू, राइट। तो जस्टिफाई करना इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। irrespective of कोई भी आप courses ले रहे हैं, right? So anything ma'am you would like to add on? Otherwise हम लोग इतना हमारा जो discussion हुआ है, it's very fruitful and very informative session. आप end में कुछ बच्चों को motivate करना चाहते हैं, because मैम ने already बहुत सारी लड़कियों को inspire किया है अपने तमिलनाडु की पहले जो जिनको पता ही नहीं था CApf AC क्या होता है, आज वो लड़कियां जानती हैं and they are trying a lot, and ma'am is also trying to motivate them and to help them logistically also, and वैसे भी motivation के तौर पे. हाँ जी मैम.
So for all the aspirants, I have to tell you that interview process is everything about your personality. So
Yes.
here, you should be a very good observer of the society. You should have your own opinion about the society. Without opinion, there is no human being. So that is one thing. And you should not succumb to the social pressures that is happening in and around you. Because I'm a married woman, I am past my 25. So it is a really hard part for me to get into this service after a very long time of struggle. So the social pressures and everything is not going to change you unless and until you're very strong about your own opinion. So your inner circle, your inner family are your backbone. Don't listen to the society that are demeaning you, that they are pushing you down. So that is not going to help you. So think that you are great. That is why you have come so far. You're very blessed that you are standing here and you're listening to this. So I'm very happy that you're listening to me and you're going to achieve. And I'm ready to see you all as the future assistant commandants. Thank you.
So ma'am, next time we want you to be in the forces, वो CSF की वर्दी में with the 3 stars on the shoulder, right? And again हम लोग और फिर और खुश हो जाएंगे जब मैम को दोबारा से देखेंगे. And so ma'am, मैं अब सेशन को एंड करता हूँ और आपसे it was very good day for me that I again had a conversation with you.
I'm
And
very happy, sir, to meet you again and have a discussion with you. That's really wonderful.
थैंक यू मैम की जो इंग्लिश है वो मेरी इंग्लिश फीकी पड़ जाती है, मैम की इंग्लिश बहुत बढ़िया है. So there is always a gap, but the intention or the emotions or the things that we would like to deliver to each other and to you, it's always pure and coming from the heart to help each other and to make sure that whatever we are doing good for the society and or ultimately for the nation, right? So I end this session and thank you and keep working hard. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you. Jai
Thank
Hind.
you, sir. Jai Hind.